I'm a 27-year-old woman and I've been married to my husband Matt, who's 30, for 5 years now. We have a sweet little girl named Ava, she just turned 3. For the most part, our life together has been calm and supportive. Matt and I both care deeply about honesty and setting clear boundaries, and we've always had each other's backs. We were genuinely excited when Matt's older brother, Ryan, who's 33, and his wife Isla, 32, decided to move back to our hometown along with Isla's 2-year-old son. The idea of Ava growing up with her cousin close by really made us happy. Matt and Ryan had never actually lived in the same city as adults, so this felt like a rare chance for them to finally build a stronger bond. I was also hopeful that Isla and I could become close, especially with the kids being around the same age. Just for context, things with my in-laws have usually been okay, though we've never been especially close. Matt's mom, Linda, has always been polite to me, but I could tell early on that she treats her sons differently. Ryan is clearly the golden child, her favorite, no doubt about it. In Linda's eyes, he can do no wrong. Meanwhile, Matt is the one who's expected to keep things steady and not cause waves. Over time, I started noticing a pattern with Linda. She'd constantly make excuses for Ryan's behavior, even when it was blatantly irresponsible. Like the time he bailed on helping out at a family holiday dinner, she just said he was super busy. But if Matt disagrees with her on anything, she immediately calls him difficult. I never really got involved in all that drama, but I definitely saw the favoritism. Still, I figured having family close would be a good thing in the long run, especially for the kids. And at first, it really did feel like a positive change. Ryan was always the outgoing, funny guy at family gatherings. Before they moved back, we only saw them during the holidays, and I never had any serious issues with him. If anything, he played the role of the fun older brother, maybe a little too much after a few drinks, cracking awkward jokes now and then. Matt usually told him to knock it off, and he'd usually listen. Up until recently, I didn't have a problem with Ryan personally. That all shifted once they officially settled back in town. Suddenly, we were seeing them much more often, family dinners, weekends together, helping them move into their place, all of it. At first, it felt great. Isla and I were bonding over the chaos of raising toddlers, and Matt was happy to finally spend real time with his brother. But it didn't take long before I started noticing things about Ryan that made me deeply uncomfortable. It started off small. The first weird moment happened maybe 2 months ago. We invited Ryan and Isla over for a simple dinner to welcome them back. At one point during the evening, I went upstairs to change because Ava had spilled juice on my shirt. I didn't shut the bedroom door all the way, honestly, I didn't think I needed to. I figured if anyone wandered up, it'd be Matt or Ava. While I was halfway through changing, I suddenly heard the door creak and there was Ryan, just standing there, staring right at me. I screamed out of shock and scrambled to cover myself. He quickly turned around and laughed it off, saying he'd walked into the wrong room and was just looking for the bathroom. Then he chuckled and walked off. It was incredibly awkward and honestly humiliating. That night, I told Matt what happened. He was furious and ready to confront his brother immediately. I begged him to let it slide this once. I wanted to believe it was just a weird accident. Matt reluctantly let it go but did warn Ryan afterward to always knock first. Ryan laughed it off like it was nothing. Even though I tried to brush it aside, the discomfort lingered. And sadly, that moment wasn't a fluke. In the weeks that followed, more situations popped up that made me feel deeply unsettled. A couple weeks after that first incident, we were at Linda's house for Sunday lunch. After eating, I headed upstairs to use the bathroom because the downstairs one was occupied. As I opened the door to come out, I nearly bumped right into Ryan, who was just loitering in the hallway. It freaked me out because I had no idea anyone else had gone upstairs. Most of the family was either downstairs or outside, but there he was, just lingering with a creepy grin. He casually said the bathroom was all mine now, like it was some sort of joke. The whole thing felt off, like he'd come up there specifically after I did. I didn't say anything at the time, but I walked away with a pit in my stomach. Then, another time, probably about a week later, Ryan dropped by our place in the late afternoon without calling first. He said he was just in the neighborhood and wanted to see Matt. The problem was, Matt wasn't home yet, and it was just me and Ava. I didn't want to be rude, so I let him in and told him he could wait for Matt. We sat in the living room, and I kept things light but a little distant. After a few minutes, I stepped into the kitchen to grab Ava a snack. The kitchen connects to the hallway that leads to our bedrooms. A moment later, I noticed Ryan was no longer in the living room. I stuck my head out and caught him walking down the hallway from the direction of our bedrooms. I immediately asked what he was doing. He acted like it was no big deal, waving his phone and saying he was trying to find the bathroom and took a wrong turn. The thing is, there's a clearly visible bathroom just off the living room. He had no reason to be anywhere near the bedrooms. I got stern and pointed out where the actual bathroom was and told him not to wander around like that again. He gave this little half smile and just said, "Alright, sorry." I felt incredibly on edge until Matt got home not long after. As soon as he walked through the door, I told him what happened. Matt saw red. He didn't even hesitate. He told Ryan to leave immediately and not come back until he could show some basic respect for our home. Ryan tried to defend himself, claiming he didn't do anything wrong, but Matt wasn't having it. He followed up with a phone call later, telling Ryan point blank that his behavior was way out of line and had to stop. Ryan got defensive, accused me of overreacting, and said our house layout confused him. Matt didn't buy any of it and told him he was done making excuses. But Ryan just brushed it off like we were being ridiculous. Unfortunately, he didn't stop. His creepy behavior kept getting worse, and I found myself constantly on edge, even in my own home. I started taking precautions, locking doors, keeping a robe nearby, and making sure he was never left alone inside our house. We stopped inviting him over altogether. But we still had to see him at family events. Every now and then, he'd find some excuse to stop by, like dropping off a tool he'd borrowed from Matt. The final straw came a few weeks later, when we hosted a big family barbecue at our place. I was nervous about having Ryan there, but I couldn't exactly ban him without starting a huge fight in the family. Still, I wasn't about to take any chances. About a week before the barbecue, I set up one of our old baby monitors in our bedroom and connected it to my phone. I know it sounds a little over the top, putting a camera in your own bedroom, but that's how unsafe I felt around him. Matt was completely supportive. We agreed if Ryan behaved, we'd just delete the footage. But if he crossed the line again, at least we'd finally have proof. And wouldn't you know it, during the barbecue, it happened again. Most of the guests were outside in the backyard. Later that evening, I headed upstairs to change out of a shirt that had gotten barbecue sauce on it. I made sure to lock the bedroom door, just in case. While I was in the middle of changing clothes, I had this gut feeling something wasn't right. So, I quickly checked the live feed from the baby monitor on my phone. And sure enough, there he was. Ryan, creeping up our staircase on camera like some kind of predator. He walked right up to our bedroom door and tried the handle. Thankfully, I had locked it. Then, to make it worse, he leaned in and pressed his ear to the door like he was trying to listen in. He stood there for a few seconds, then slowly backed away and slipped back downstairs like nothing happened. I couldn't believe it. The nerve of him doing something so creepy, and in my house, during a family barbecue with everyone just outside in the yard, it was unreal. I was shaking with anger. I finished changing, saved the video clip to my phone, and at that moment, I knew I wasn't going to stay quiet about this anymore. No more brushing it off or hoping it would stop. This was it. I was going to call him out right in front of the family. I headed back downstairs and gathered a small group of immediate relatives into the living room, away from the crowd outside. Matt was there, along with Ryan, Isla, Linda, and a few of Matt's adult cousins, aunts, and uncles who were nearby. Everyone looked puzzled, probably wondering why I pulled them aside. I told them I had something serious to show and just hit play on the baby monitor footage without saying much else. I turned the screen toward them and cranked the volume so they could all see and hear it clearly. The video showed exactly what happened to Ryan sneaking up our stairs and trying to open the bedroom door. I let them know this wasn't old footage. It happened literally minutes ago. The room fell completely silent. You could feel the tension. One of Matt's cousins gasped out loud. Linda immediately started demanding to know what it was. I kept my voice steady and said it was exactly what it looked like, Ryan trying to sneak into our bedroom while I was changing. And then chaos erupted. Ryan started stumbling over his words, trying to pass it off as some innocent mistake, even tried to laugh. But no one was buying it this time. Isla went completely pale. She didn't say a word to Ryan, she just grabbed their son and left on the spot. That silence from her said everything. Linda, though, instantly jumped to Ryan's defense. She started yelling at me for setting him up, accusing me of publicly humiliating him and ruining the entire barbecue over nothing. I snapped. I told her that I tried to handle things quietly before, and it clearly didn't work. Ryan had crossed too many lines. Of course I was going to show everyone, how else were they going to believe what he'd been doing? Matt's uncle stepped in and flat out said Ryan's behavior was disgusting and that I was completely justified in showing the video. Then the room just split. Some relatives looked horrified at Ryan, others were glaring at me like I'd caused the drama. In the middle of the commotion, Ryan slipped out the front door and took off. Honestly, I was glad to see him go. That pretty much ended the party. Matt and I spent the next hour trying to explain everything to stunned family members who stuck around. I was furious. But Matt, he was surprisingly calm. Later that night, he told me he was proud of me for showing the video and that it was long overdue for Ryan to face consequences. By that same night, Matt had already called Ryan and told him flat out he was no longer welcome near our home or anywhere around me. But the fallout wasn't easy. Linda and a few others started blowing up both our phones, furious about how we handled things. According to them, I was the one who tore the family apart by exposing Ryan like that. Linda, in particular, called several times to scream about how I'd humiliated her son and made a public scene. She even had the gall to accuse me of doing it for attention, like I wanted this kind of drama in my life. One of Matt's cousins reached out and said that, while Ryan's behavior was wrong, I went too far by showing that video to everyone and embarrassing the family. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Somehow, I was becoming the villain in all this? Matt and I mostly ignored the angry calls or shut them down quickly, but it still stung. I knew I didn't do anything wrong. I tried handling it quietly. That didn't stop Ryan. He pushed it way too far, and he's the one who humiliated himself, nobody else. Still, the backlash made me wonder. Did I go too far? Should I have handled it differently, maybe pulled Ryan aside and confronted him with the footage in private? Did I escalate things more than I needed to, and in doing so, ruin the barbecue and his marriage? But deep down, I knew he gave me no choice. He'd been warned. He kept creeping around like I wouldn't do anything about it. Whatever fallout he's facing now, he brought on himself. So, yeah. I exposed my brother-in-law in front of the whole family. I humiliated him. But I also protected myself and made sure no one could ignore it anymore. First update. It's been about a week since everything went down, and a lot has happened since then. Honestly, some of it is downright disturbing, but at least we're moving towards some kind of justice. A few days after the barbecue, Isla called me. She sounded shaken but determined. She said she confronted Ryan that night, and when he kept lying and insisting it was all just a big misunderstanding, she kicked him out. Then came the bombshell. The next day, while going through some of his old stuff, she found his old iPad full of explicit photos and videos. Secret recordings. Some looked like they were of random women in public, but others were clearly filmed in private settings. It hit her all at once, what Ryan had done to me wasn't some isolated slip-up. It was part of a larger, disgusting pattern. She called me immediately after she found it. We agreed this had to be reported. That same day, we both went down to the police station. I handed over the baby monitor video, and Isla turned in the iPad. She didn't wait around either. She filed for divorce on the spot and started the process to get sole custody of their son. Matt and I stood behind her the entire time. The days that followed were filled with police interviews, meetings with attorneys, and trying to wrap our heads around what Ryan had really been up to. Isla got a temporary restraining order to keep him away from her and their kid, and she's going for full custody. Matt has been incredible through it all. He's furious with Ryan, rightfully so, and hasn't wavered in his support for me or Isla. Of course, now that the police are involved, the whole extended family has been buzzing with gossip. We kept our distance at first, but eventually had to talk to some relatives. And surprise, Linda's livid. Not at Ryan. At us. She's furious that we went to the authorities. In her eyes, turning Ryan in was a betrayal of the family. She even showed up at our house uninvited, ranting about how I was destroying her son's life. Matt didn't let her get far. He told her loud and clear Ryan destroyed his own life. Then he warned her to leave or we'd call the police on her for trespassing. We've gone no contact with Linda since that incident. I'm done trying to reason with someone who defends a predator just because he's her son. Thankfully, not everyone in the family is like her. A few extended relatives reached out quietly, but sincerely. They apologized for how they reacted at the barbecue and said they fully supported me and Isla. They were horrified by what Ryan did and ashamed they didn't see it sooner. So yeah, the situation's messy, but it's not all bad. Some people are finally seeing Ryan for who he really is. Right now, Isla has officially filed for divorce. The police are handling the case, and the evidence is in their hands. And certain people in the family are showing their true colors, for better or worse. As awful as this has all been, there's something validating about seeing the truth come out. Still, learning just how deep Ryan's behavior went? It's been absolutely chilling. Second update. It's been a month now, and if my last update was just the tip of the iceberg, this one is the whole thing. The police investigation moved quickly once they had the iPad and access to his other devices. And what they found is horrifying. Turns out, Ryan had been secretly filming women for years. They've already identified at least 4 other known victims, not including me or the random women caught in public. This wasn't just some creepy behavior slipping through the cracks. This was a pattern. A serious, criminal one. One of Ryan's victims turned out to be someone we've known for years, a longtime family friend who had no clue she was ever filmed. Apparently, one of the videos was taken during a pool party at Linda's house last summer. It looks like he recorded her while she was changing. Another victim was a former neighbor from the city Ryan used to live in. And at least 2 other women were complete strangers filmed out in public in those disgusting upskirt-type videos. The whole situation is way bigger and more disturbing than I ever imagined. Now, Ryan's facing several criminal charges, including unlawful surveillance and multiple counts of invasion of privacy. Each incident is being treated separately, which means the legal consequences could be significant. Honestly, he deserves every bit of it. But if that wasn't bad enough, things took an even darker turn. Matt's uncle James came forward with a secret he'd been carrying for years. Apparently, when Ryan was about 16, he was caught doing something similar. He'd been spying on a 14-year-old girl from their neighborhood, literally caught peeking through her bedroom window at night. The girl's parents called the police at the time, but Linda and Matt's dad stepped in. They convinced the neighbors not to press charges by promising Ryan would get help and that it would never happen again. They swept it all under the rug. Uncle James said he only found out because he overheard the whole thing back then. Linda begged him to keep quiet and protect Ryan's future. He told us he's carried guilt ever since, especially now, seeing how that silence allowed Ryan to grow into an even bigger threat. When Matt and I heard this, we were furious. Matt was livid with his mom, not just for hiding the truth, but for enabling this kind of behavior all these years. It was like everything finally clicked into place: Ryan's long-standing pattern of predatory behavior and Linda's history of covering for him. We confronted her. At first, Linda tried to lie, but she broke down pretty quickly and admitted it was true. Still, she tried to justify it, saying any parent would do the same thing to protect their child and that Ryan had just been a dumb kid at the time. Matt didn't hold back. He told her flat out that by shielding Ryan from consequences, she helped create the man he is today. He told her he'd lost all respect for her as a mother. Linda was sobbing, begging us not to cut her off, but we walked away mid-plea. That was the last time we spoke to her. I don't think I'll ever be able to look at her the same again, not after knowing what she knowingly allowed and protected. Word about that old incident spread quickly through the extended family. This time, Uncle James didn't stay silent. And once people heard the full truth, many who were previously neutral or unsure turned completely against Ryan and against Linda for covering it up. Of course, there are still a few relatives who think we should have kept it in the family, but I'm done caring about opinions like that. Right now, our only concern is protecting the real victims and making sure Ryan is held accountable. Legally, things are still moving forward. Ryan hasn't been officially arrested yet, but the investigation is nearly wrapped up, and with everything they've uncovered, it's just a matter of time. Isla already secured a temporary sole custody order and a restraining order against Ryan. He hasn't even attempted to challenge it. I'm guessing his lawyer told him there's no chance of getting custody while he's under investigation for sex crimes. I gave a full statement to the police, as did Isla and even the family friend who was unknowingly filmed. That friend called me afterward to say thank you. She said she would have never known what Ryan had done if I hadn't brought everything to light. If I had any doubts before, I don't anymore. Exposing Ryan was 100% the right thing to do. This wasn't some family squabble. This was a pattern of criminal behavior, and if no one had stepped in, he probably would have kept doing it. Final update. Ryan has officially been charged. The investigators pulled together all the evidence they needed, and he was arrested about a month ago. His case even made it onto the local news. Right now, he's out on bail waiting for trial, but his reputation and his career are already in ruins. Not that I feel the slightest bit sorry for him. You play disgusting games, you win disgusting consequences. His employer found out about the charges almost immediately and fired him. Last I heard, he's crashing on some distant relative's couch. Nobody wants anything to do with him anymore. He's become a complete outcast in both the family and the community. As for Isla, she's holding up pretty well, considering everything. She was granted a restraining order and full temporary custody of their son. She's already filed for full, permanent custody as part of the divorce. And given what's come out, it's extremely unlikely Ryan will ever get custody. At best, he might be granted supervised visitation, maybe. Isla's got a strong support system now. Her sister took her in, and she's been staying there. We see her and our little nephew often. Our kids have playdates, completely unaware of the chaos swirling around the adults. And Linda? Not much to report there. We haven't spoken to her since that final confrontation. Word is, she's completely distraught that her baby boy might go to prison and that her family has turned on her. But as far as I know, she's still not owning up to her role in any of this. She's basically sulking and playing the victim, telling people she lost both her sons because Matt refuses to speak to her. Well, she made her choice. And unless she fully accepts what happened and the part she played in enabling it, she's not welcome back into our lives. Our home life has started to feel peaceful again. For the first time in months, I can sit in my living room without checking over my shoulder or worrying about some hidden camera. Ava, thankfully, is too young to grasp what's happened. To her, nothing's changed except Grandma Linda doesn't visit anymore, and she sees her little cousin a lot more often. Matt and I, if anything, have grown even stronger through all of this. He's told me over and over how proud he is that I stood up and didn't let his brother get away with it. And honestly, I'm proud of myself too for trusting my instincts and speaking out. We've had a lot of deep conversations lately, and we're totally aligned on one thing: just because someone's family doesn't mean you have to tolerate their toxicity. So yeah, that's the end of this story. I finally feel safe. Ryan's facing real consequences, and I don't regret any part of what I did to make sure this all came to light. To everyone who supported me and followed along, thank you. Your words mattered more than you know. I'm logging off now, ready to put this nightmare behind me.